When it comes to the biggest moments in Utah sports history, these guys have seen it all. This is DJ and PK. DJ and PK on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hot Takes or Toast is brought to you by Siegfried and Jensen with 30 years of serving Utah. Question of the morning. What business should sponsor the Big 12? Title sponsor for the conference. Forget the Big or the 12. Slap your name here. David Clark says Berkshire Hathaway. They got a ton of money. Nobody's got more money than Berkshire Hathaway.
I've heard of it, but what is it? I got a horrible business mind.
That's the company that the Oracle of Omaha owns. They own a ton of companies. They own like trains. They own R.C. Willey. They own all these different businesses. It's the thing that Warren Buffett's run as he's become the world's richest man. That's his umbrella company for all these other companies that they invest in. So you don't actually buy Berkshire Hathaway stuff, but you do buy R.C. Willey stuff. And when you buy a sofa at R.C. Willey, you've just given Berkshire Hathaway your money. And David says, just go down to Texas. There's lots of big Texas company with lots of money. Any one of them will do. Back up the truck.
Somebody has to be from Texas?
Yeah, they got the cash. Neil says SpaceX. We're in charge of college football and putting stuff on the moon.
I would like to see Coors.
Because?
They create a sticky situation for BYU.
Ah, yes.
They don't drink beer. No hooch in Provo.
The Coors 12.
They're hoochless.
The big Coors. James must be a Utah fan because he says it's got to be a trucking company or maybe U-Haul. See the truck stop conference. Dismissing it as
I thought because he's the Utes and they're moving on to another conference.
No, that too. Yeah, see, it works at multiple levels. It's a multi-level joke right there.
Well, then we're back to Provo.
Nice. Justin, EA Sports. EA Sports. It's in the 12.
Well, if they're going to do this, isn't this the time to remove the 12 completely since there's way more than 12?
That might be a good idea right there.
I mean, clean that up.
Yeah. D-Ray says it ought to be Mr. Mac.
E-Ray?
D-Ray. Oh. The guy standing in line right in front of E-Ray.
I legitimately thought you said E-Ray.
Yeah. Former program director.
Okay.
No. D-Ray Palmer is the...
And what did he want?
Mr. Mac.
Mr. Mac is local, isn't it?
Yes. But maybe Mr. Mac wants to sell some suits in Ames, Iowa, and across the state of West Virginia.
In Lubbock, if you're sending your guys out for 2 years, you need the...
You need the replacement suit?
the
third and fourth pair of pants.
The missionary package or whatever it's called. Don't they do that?
They do.
I think they do that.
They do. Alema's done ads for them. Yeah. Seen them doing that.
Makes sense. Make money off of it. Why not? Do you think, though, that this can really make a difference? You know, you can have fun with whatever name you want, and so be it. But can it make a difference?
A small difference.
That's it?
Because when you divvy it up, when you look at a budget, let's say $100 million just for a round number.
Okay.
If you're a school with a $100 million budget, and
athletic budget you're speaking of?
An athletic budget. Let's say it's $100 million just because it's an easy number to work with. It's
for sure.
Ballpark-ish, right?
Gotcha.
And they're doing this multi-year deal that could earn the league between $30 and $50 million annually to split between 16 league members. Among. So it's let's say they get $48 million, then every school gets $3 million. We went on the high end. So if you have a $100 million budget, get $3 million is a big deal, but that's about 3% of your budget. It doesn't change everything. This is what you were talking about in the last segment. Will it help? Yes. Do you need the money? Absolutely. Will you be happy the day it comes in? Yep. Do you have as much money as Ohio State? Nowhere near. You've still got a big gap to close. You want the $3 million. You're excited. You're happy. So is it going to make a big difference?
Yeah,
no, that's like $3 million's half a football coach.
Understood.
Or all of a coordinator.
But the difference shows up in the win-loss record. Because if you do this and you get a few more million, I get your point. It's small change compared to the bigger picture. But if you're competing with them athletically, what difference does it make? How much money do you need to run a football program? Because that's the big thing, right? And these athletic departments, they're funding everything, and no one cares about the women's tennis team and the young ladies that they recruit from Eastern Europe to come over and play tennis here.
Tennis, golf, track, swimming. We can go down a whole list of Olympic sports that don't move the needle. Football moves the needle a lot.
So all that matters is, are you competitive on the field? Just because you have this much more money, does that make you competitive on the field? The answer is overwhelmingly no.
But if it's the money that comes in so an AD doesn't have to cut sports, they're super happy because nobody really wants to do that.
Great, but no fan cares.
Yeah. Oh, when they cut the sports, people make noise, and then it's uncomfortable.
And a day later, they forget about it.
It does go away.
Life goes on.
It's a big deal when BYU dropped wrestling when we just got here.
And life went on. And no one's talking about it now.
And here we are.
You want to wrestle? Go to UVU. And you're good to go. There's plenty of schools. All the folks, the guys from Wasatch, they went on and wrestled elsewhere.
Go to Iowa, go to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And away you go.
Yeah. And what's-his-face is, a superstar in wrestling. What was his name? Sanderson.
Yes.
Kill Sanderson. So they talk about, and I get to bring in as much money as everybody wants. I want, in my next salary negotiation, I want to earn as much money as I can. So you people upstairs or downstairs, wherever the crap you are, I want to squeeze you out for as much money as I possibly can. And does that make me a mercenary? You can label me anything you want, but I'll show up and work my butt off, and I want as much money as I possibly can. That's not breaking news here. Right? So they want as much money as they can get. But what does it mean in terms of success on the football field? Because that was what matters the most. And I don't think it means that much. The overwhelming amount of evidence is it doesn't mean squat.
For the people whose job it is to bring it in, they have to bring it in. But at the end of the day, are we going to look up and still see Ohio State and Georgia?
Right.
And then it'll rotate because we'll see Michigan and LSU. Yeah, that's pretty much how it's been working.
And Utah struggles to compete with them. So does everybody else. But the rest of the conference, they don't struggle to compete. So there's like 2-3 teams in each conference, or both conferences, pointing to those two, SEC and Big Ten, that Utah would have a hard time competing with. Not that they couldn't, but everybody else, the overwhelming amount of teams in both conferences, Utah does just fine competing with. So why do we get worked up? Oh, you get $70 million, but you only get $31 million. So your beach volleyball, the sand isn't as pure as it is for SC sand. Nobody cares.
I guess I'm trying to think what Kyle's answer to that might be. If he were to argue with you, just theoretically, if that ever happened.
Well, he knows he loses, so he doesn't.
And it's making that $3 million deal over and over and over that's helped them build their facilities and get to the point they're at. It's no one of those deals, but it's doing that 10
and they
times
already
over.
have it. So they'll have enough money to do all that. You just budget more money, way more money over here. And the rest is, you don't like it? Tough. That's the way it's going to work. It's more about now going forward, it's not about how much money you're going to get from the TV deal. That's the athletic department. Harlan and his people need to worry about that. But the football program and the fans of the football team, I don't think it's that big of a deal. It's more over here, the NIL, which is every freaking year now. You have to tap into these people. You have to buy a football team for your favorite team. If you are of the ability to have that kind of money, you've got to do it every year. You got to pay every year. It's not a one-time donation and you build a fancy athletic facility and you slap your name on it and away you go.
You got to have the money every year, because if you don't, the quarterback will take money somewhere else, or the star or wide receiver or defensive lineman or whoever, and they'll be gone somewhere else, and all of a sudden your D-line or your O-line won't be as good. You won't have the star quarterback.
So I don't necessarily see where this makes a big difference. And yeah, the SEC and the Big Ten, but it's always been that way. The top. There's no programs that have been able to compete. Out of West, you had SC and then a little bit of Oregon and then even less a little bit of Washington. And that's it.
And we're done.
Yeah.
I think to your NIL point, maybe if they got this infusion, then a school could go to their big booster. I mean, here it would be Eccles, but every school had somebody like that. And say, nice. And say, okay, we just got this $3 million. We'll do this. That donation you made to us, roll it into the NIL collective this year. So they'll just be pushing the money around.
And then next year, and next year, and next year, and next year.
Well, assuming that they get that $3 million every year from.
But that doesn't matter. You're going to have the NIL every single year. That matters way more to me as I see it than this. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's the way I see it.
And I think that if this did, which neither you or I think it will close the gap, but if it did close the gap, then the Big Ten and the SEC would turn around and sell their naming rights and pull away.
Obviously, they would do it if it's something. Yeah, it's funny. I was listening to Kenny Dillingham yesterday. They had some camps, so he made himself available because he knows he has to sell it, right? Mm-hmm. So they're like Utah State. You know, you got to be available anytime anybody asks. So, and he's talking about they've got 15 commits for next year. And they were asking, you know, he can't comment individually because
he can't comment on until they're signed. Still an
but they're asking about it, and he says, "Well, yeah." And the star ranking, how some of them move up. He says, "I hope they don't move up in star ranking
because they will just lose them."
Yeah, and then if they see that, then the other guys will come in and poach them. He said, "I want their star ranking actually to go down."
Spot on. I like the way he thinks. I totally get his logic.
So the point I'm making is if the SEC and Alabama and Ohio State see, oh, wow, that's working, well, then we'll just do it too.
Yep. Their core advantage is that they have more people living in that part of the country, and they have more passion for their teams. And a lot of them are in communities where they're away from the direct head-to-head competition with the NFL.
And it means everything. Their lives, their literal lives matter on it, which I think is disgusting, but nevertheless, I'm glad they do. And I'm glad Rice Eccles sells out every 47,000 years or whatever it's been, and Provo still gets their 63,000. That's great because that means there's interest, and we have jobs. So I'm grateful for that support. But I think that it's still going to come down to, from the Utah BYU perspective at the power level, it's going to come down to what Utah has mastered, and it's identify and develop. But now you also need the NIL, and Kyle has said that.
The one word, just because identify and develop is so easy and it flows off the tongue, I think it just evolves into identify, develop, and retain. It's a story we talked about.
Well, that's NIL.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Retain is another way of saying NIL.
Yeah, 100%. But I think it fits with the other two words, and it fills, and that's exactly what it means. You got to have the NIL. You got to hold on to these guys. You develop as a freshman and sophomore, and then they go somewhere as a junior, have a great year, and go off to the NFL. That doesn't help you.
The great thing about Kyle Whittingham right now is he's virtually untouchable. And so when you get to that point, a la the two political leaders in the NBA, Kerr and Popovich, and we'll see what happens going forward. Whoever wins, then they'll start coming out and telling us what they think again. They know they're untouchable. So they can say it. Well, Kyle's in the same spot. And he's not going to get political or anything like that, but he's going to tell you there's going to be a time when the top 25 corresponds with the top 25 in the NIL. And he can speak his mind freely. So we need to listen to what he says.
Because he's telling us the truth.
Right.
And when he tells his conferences are going to realign, they're going to realign.
Yeah.
When he said change is coming, and obviously it came, the Pac-12 blew up. And when that happened, he said, and there'll be more change. Well, he just called the last change, so we might as well listen to him about the next one.
So he really has no agenda outside of truth because he's reached stature. He'll be 65 years old in November. And so obviously he's got less time than more time. I don't know when that time's over, but he's got less time than more time, and he's been wildly successful here. He's taken the program to unparalleled heights. So now he's able to speak his mind. Do you think a coach who's just barely getting started
Dillingham would have to be careful.
Yeah, of course he does. But you think somebody like that would say last fall, well, yeah, it's uno doctor. Basically, what he's saying is, we're at the mercy of this guy down in L.A. on whether Rising plays. And if you read between the lines, yeah, I'm super frustrated to do this. This has been a freaking dog and pony show every week.
And I hate it.
Right. So he didn't throw the kid or the doctor completely under the bus.
But we got an idea.
But he was able to voice his frustration by 2 words, uno doctor. And we all knew, and I remember there, and he looked at me, and the two of us have been around forever.
You know what I'm saying here, right, PK?
Yeah.
Yes, I do. Thank you.
You remember the literal thing.
I do. I do remember it.
Yeah, and I just said, I got it.
That's a recent example that everybody remembers, but that routinely happens in tense times. People who've been around a long time know how to speak in code, and people around a long time listen to him know exactly what it means.
Yeah.
Alex here is 24. I don't know if he would know today, but if he keeps doing this, I've been around him. I know he's going to figure it out.
Keeps doing this, you're going to be here Monday, right?
And when you
Vacation boy, when's he back?
I think Hatch is back on Monday.
Yeah, but then when does he leave again? Stay close, Alex.
Stay by your phone. But when he's 34, 44, he's going to be in the same situation. You're going to look at it and he goes, that's what those 2 old guys were talking about. I know exactly what this person is saying.
Alex is doing such a good job that I might learn his last name.
That's a big commitment. I don't know.
Do you know it?
I don't know that I can pronounce it right, but I can spell it because I've had to spell it in emails.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, you start to spell it and then it pops up. Naples. Did I get it right?
That is correct.
But I haven't heard it said, so is it Napoles?
It's Napolis.
Napolis. See,
Napolis, yep.
I was off on the put the emphasis on the wrong syllable there.
There you go. So I think all this stuff, if I'm your Mark, do it.
But don't think it's going to change the world or alter your place in the universe.
But keep doing it.
You have to. That's what it's what you're getting paid for, and B, you need the incremental improvement.
Budget-wise, I just wonder how's it going to translate to football, which is about
and that's a discussion that they ought to have.
80% of what we care about.
And I assume they do have behind, closed dours.
And unless you're Kansas and now Baylor, the Baylor's football team is taking a hit, so now they'll go to basketball.
Well, Kansas is investing in football, and they're playing their home games in Arrowhead. They're completely rebuilding their stadium.
And they're on the way up, as far as I can tell.
They're tired of being the dregs of the league.
Right.
So, they've been in the Big 12 forever, so it's a different path than Utah, bounce between conferences. But as far as your stature and your ranking, hey, we're team 120, we're team 90, we're team 60.
It's all about Leipold. Forget self. They finished tied for 5th. They're a football school now.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. U.S. Open update with Bob Casper coming up at the top of the hour. Rory with another bogey. He is backing up from 5 under to 3 under. We'll talk with Bob about the second round of the Open next. Well, not immediately next. In 20 minutes, right here on The Zone.